drivers over the years, the likes of Jorn Haase and Jan Magnussen, to name just a couple, Christian Lundgaard, Nikolai Müller-Madsen, to name some of the junior European champions over the years. But here come the juniors again. Tiziano Monza and Alexander Bondarev, Stepan Antonov and Lewis Werrell, Dries van Langendonk and Nicolas Schaeffler from Kirill Titiev and Sebastian Coppeng, Tame Saleh, Sebastian Letimaki, Scott Lindblom and Ethan Lennon from Lewis Francis and Jindra Peschel, Arjen Kreiling and Sebastian Mins from Kian Farden and Salim Hada, Henry Domain, Alphonse Miertenen, Jared Clark, Louis Cochet, Matthias Orjuela, Davide Bottaro, Kit Bolowski, Oliver Rasmussen, Marianito, Maël Lemarchand, Enzo Ruggiero, Kimi Tani, Tyler Sundberg, Mikkel Neuhaus, Javier Herrera, Matthias Hansen, Erik Poulsen, and the one driver who will not start the race, that is Christopher Nita of Norway. So Christopher Nita sadly not taking up the start of these races, had a sore back, we are told, by our dear colleague Vera Virtanen, who informed us that in practice Christopher was suffering from a sore back following an injury that happened a couple of weeks ago, so they decided not to stress it, and I'm sure that Christopher Nita will return to his Scandinavian karting campaign very much head held high. Hopefully we'll get to see him back in the European Championships in the future. However, there is just one OK Junior race to go to set the grid. Nothing short of a victory will do for Tiziano Monza. 75 points on the board if he does so, and that will tie him with Jacopo Martinez. Now I think that will actually go back to Martinez for pole position for the final on countback, because Martinez had a stronger lap in qualifying. However, there's a big opportunity here for Bondarev, Antonov and Lewis Werrell, because you've got to look at the tallies of the drivers around them. Martinez has 304 and I'm fairly sure can be matched but can't be overtaken. Kostoya and Ramikers both have 283. Kinmark and Kaczynski both have 240. Drummond has 237. Monza has 229. So there's so many opportunities here. Monza on 229. If he gets 75 points, we've got a kart that's slow in the background. So is this going to be a false start as a result of it? Yes, it is. So a false start. We've got one kart that's fallen from the fray. And it looks like Mikkel Neuhaus, I think. The Danish driver has not come through in the same speed as everybody else. So I'm not entirely sure if the wildcard Mikkel Neuhaus has been able to get himself back into position again, but certainly one kart out of the race and being recovered by the marshals. So that looks to me like it is Mikkel Neuhaus, unfortunately, the Danish driver on home soil, who should be emerging into our picture on the left of your screen any moment now, being recovered by the marshals on the far side of the course. Very unfortunate indeed for Mikkel Neuhaus, who is the retirement on this race. There is the judge of fact, Gonzalo Planta, who is also Deputy Academy Race Director. But certainly when it comes to OK Junior and OK Senior, he becomes the judge of fact on the final turn. And there is Mikkel Neuhaus' kart. Bitter disappointment.
And in those proceedings, when you go for an extra lap, you don't want Gonzalo to get pissed about what's happening on track. So you better make this right this time around, because Gonzalo otherwise can really, really get angry at you guys. But he's going to make sure he's the one in charge when it comes to starting proceedings on track. He's going to make sure that everybody is on pace, and it looks to be good this time around.
So now we wait for the lights to go out. They do, and we're racing up to the first corner. Great start from Monza. Bondarev through in second place without incident as the drivers make their way through the first couple of corners. Up to third place comes the Austrian mouse, Nicolas Schaeffler. What a start! He has worked his way through to third position already as the karts make their way through 3, through 4, through 5. Plenty of opportunities to mix it up. But behind Schaeffler, we've got Antonov and Werrell having a great duel. And there in sixth position is the Belgian Dries van Langendonk in the second of the Forza Racing experts. Van Langendonk having a look at his teammate, but he can't get through. And there is Sebastian Coppeng trying to work his way forward as well. Everybody just making it nice and straightforward in the first couple of laps. I think we have Marianito down at the back of the field having had a tricky start. But everyone else is pretty much as they were. Bondarev is already attacking Monza with Schaeffler for company.
Let's see what's going to happen between those three. One lap completed. Overall, positive for the entire field. Monza, Bondarev, Niklas Schaeffler. Then you have Stepan Antonov leading the second wagon of this train. In front of Lewis Werrell, Dries van Langendonk, those two from the same team of Forza Racing. Going to try to push each other to climb this field. Stepan Antonov being the first one to try to overtake as Michael Newens, unfortunately, having to watch from the sideline. That's going to be a long race for him to be over there. As around the inside goes Alexander Bondarev. Beautifully made by the Czech Republic driver. Up in the lead in front of Tiziano Monza. Let's try to see if he's going to be able to push that machine, the Pauline machine. As for P3 goes Stepan Antonov. So Czech Republic on the charge. Up into P1, Bondarev. Up into P3, Stepan Antonov. Now we're waiting for the response from Niklas Schauffler, but watch out because Lewis Rarrell and Dries van Langenonk are going to be willing to join that party. Up to 6 drivers, like one, glued together on the way to turn number 1 for lap number 3 out of 13. Gabriel Gomez just telling me just before how long that race was before, as the Schauffler goes around the inside of Antonov. Here's the response, and it goes through as well for Lewis Rarrell taking another position. Dries van Langenonk wasn't quite able to follow his teammate on that one. He's going to have to wait on the next corner maybe, but the door is shut by Stepan Antonov, the Czech Republic driver. It is going all over the place at the moment, and it goes the way as well of the 2 leaders, Bondarev and Monza, able to put a bit of a gap between the rest. But now it's down to the pursuers to try to work together somehow if they want to have a good shot at the victory. Into the banking, different lines as you can see with Schauffler. Oh, 2 drivers going together.
That's Tara Sundberg. Tara Sundberg connecting there, unfortunately, with Kimi Tani. So Tara Sundberg retires from the race, and I'm afraid that's her out of the weekend. Very unfortunate for Tara Sundberg. She's had all sorts of bad luck over the course of these 3 days. Showed good pace. But up the inside, that's Lewis Rarrell. Here he comes again. Rarrell making his bid, and this time Dries van Langenonk does go with his teammate to get up into 4th position ahead of Niklas Schauffler. Stepan Antonov still there in P6, then Titiev, Kolpeng, Lindblom, Peschel, Lennon, and Timaki. Good dive up the inside there from Titiev. He now goes wheel to wheel with Stepan Antonov. Those 2 are going to have a very tough race of it, I have a feeling, because they are very closely matched in terms of their raw pace. But this is such an important race victory on the horizon for Bondarev. This will put him 3rd on the grid for the final, right up in the midst to try and extend his opportunity in the European Championship. Goes a little bit wider than the final turn. Tiziano Monza still right there with him. And this is an important one for Monza as well. He wants to try and beat Bondarev because this is a preview of their battle in the final. Monza makes the mid on the inside line. Bondarev has to give him space on the inside of turn 3. And now Lewis Rarrell is going to come back. No, I'm going to get him again, goes Bondarev. Dives back in on Monza, retakes it, and now Lewis Rarrell is on the scene. So Bondarev is going to try and back Monza into the path of the feisty Lewis Rarrell. Can he make the opportunity come back to him? Monza dives, Bondarev holds him at bay. Rarrell is going to go for it on the inside of both of them. And Lewis Rarrell gets into the lead. Past Bondarev, past Monza. Now the Brit is up front again.
Yeah, fantastic driving from Lewis Rarrell on the inside of turn number 8. And now the British driver finds himself in the lead for the first time today. But now the hardest part is yet to come, resisting again and again, lap after lap. But look at the line of drivers. Look at that back group that we have just behind. More than 10 drivers able to have a go, at least at some of the positions in the upper part of the ranking. But now it's down to Lewis Rarrell to shut the doors every time it's possible. In lap number 6, halfway through, he still has a long way to go before the finish, I'm afraid, for Lewis Rarrell, watching over his shoulder. Shutting the door already halfway through into the braking zone. He's not comfortable, and we understand easily why, as Bondarev is going to try to go around the outside, but it opens the door to Tiziano Monza, who takes 2nd place. Monza up into P2. Bondarev having to go defensive because Van Langenonk is trying the same around the inside of the banking, and he goes through as well, the Belgian driver, up into P3.
It's Skittles. It's anybody's race now. Rarrell in front of Monza, Van Langenonk and Bondarev, and everybody wants a piece of this now, so everybody is going to try and have their 2 cents worth. They come across the line. 6 laps completed, 7 still to run. Rarrell, Monza, Van Langenonk, Bondarev, Schauffler, Lindblom, Zitiev and Antonov. This is such a tough race now. Up on the inside, Schauffler going wheel to wheel with Bondarev. And you've got to hold your breath as Scott Lindblom tries himself. Now on the inside comes Kolpeng. He's trying to work his way forward. Kolpeng's lost a lot of positions. Didiev trying to come forward. Bondarev going side by side with Schauffler. He can't quite get the pace out of that turn to make the move on the inside. He has to wait another corner. Now he gets there. So Bondarev through into 4th position, past Niklas Schauffler.
And Schauffler just did a tiny mistake, going on the curb a little bit too much, losing momentum outside of turn number 8. That can go the way of Kirill Ditsiev with the car machine just behind. We're back with the leaders here with Lewis Rarrell and Tiziano Monza battling along, split by pretty much 1.5 minutes as they make their way back onto the start finish straight. Van Langendonk dropped a bit of momentum in the process. He's on his own at the moment. He just, he's not quite able to make the connection with the top two, but he doesn't have the pressure from Nicolas Schauffele just behind.
Well, Werrell getting into the lead of the race has absolutely changed the face of the grid for the final, because Bondarev was looking to be in third position on the grid. Now he's down to sixth, as Werrell has got into provisional fifth position with this, perhaps a victory. I don't want to say it's confirmed yet. Monza still looking good for the front row of the grid in second position, but behind Werrell, and he's got a chance to take him on. So the Shamik Europe driver now knows he's got an opportunity here to take on the Forza Racing expert. We've got contact just outside our commentary box window, unfortunately, as two cars have tangled. That is Enzo Ruggiero and the Frenchman Le Marchand. We've also had an incident from Matthias Hansen, who's trying to get himself going again with a push start. Yeah. So Le Marchand out of the race. We're having a look back over what happened with Nicolas Schauffele, going wheel to wheel here with Scott Lindblom, and almost into the back of Antonov. So Schauffele getting himself in the mix, but he's had some good manoeuvres. How about that for Bondarev? That was a last-minute manoeuvre from Schauffele to go wheel to wheel. He's not making any friends with Alexander Bondarev, is he? He's being quite aggressive and managing to make a move or two here or there. But the Austrian mouse is no pushover. Monza right in behind Werrell again, as Le Marchand watches on now, I'm afraid, with Enzo Ruggiero restarting. So Ruggiero has actually rejoined at the back of the field. Sebastian Karpang isn't transponding. Monza gets the move on the inside, gets the lead again from Lewis Werrell. Now, this is going to be a race battle again between the two, and watch for Dries van Langendonk. He wants a piece of it as well.
And he still has a couple of laps to try to do something to this race, switch any position up for grab. And he's going to have to work with Lewis Werrell, his teammate at Forza Racing, watching closely about any move from Tiziano Monza, keeping the racing line steady, shutting all the doors.
Confirmation that if Monza were to win this race, he would tie for Martinez on 304 points, but Martinez would get the pole based on his quicker lap in time qualifying. So even if Monza wins this race, he is not going to be pole position for the final. He's going to be second on the grid. Now, what can Werrell do to change his fortunes and put himself back ahead of Bondarev on the grid for the final? Currently, he's looking at P6. He wants to be P5. The only way to do that is to get back past Tiziano Monza. Dries van Langendonk is only a handful of points further back. He wants to get a win as well. We're watching a replay. Now, this is how Titus Sundberg and Kimi Tani retired. Now that's not Sundberg's fault at all. It's not Tani's either. He was actually dueling away with one of the CRGs, and they just drifted into each other.
Yeah, quite an unfortunate event for those two drivers. That's part of racing. Unfortunately for them, as we're back with the lead. Scott Lindblom putting the fastest lap from P6, trying to get close to Nicolas Schauffele into the top 5. Which move will come from which direction, from which driver? Lewis Werrell very threatening on Tiziano Monza. He's done everything that he needed to in this race. It would be tied on points on the outside line if nothing changes on the front row of the grid for the final. But Werrell pressuring the Italian driver with the Pauling machine, the Singapurian, shall I say. But let's see what he can do until the checkered flag doesn't have a lot of time remaining. Here we go, penultimate lap.
Now, interestingly, the Paralin chassis and the Expert chassis seem pretty evenly matched in terms of raw pace. So Monza and Werrell are essentially trading sector times at the moment in the hope that one or the other of them is going to make the mistake. Monza is in prime position to lead this race out as Bondarev now sets the fastest lap of the race in his bid to catch up to the 3. And I think he may get a chance to get back into the top 3. Werrell is hunting down Monza.
Yeah, let's see what's going to happen. Bondarev the fastest. This is now or never for Lewis Werrell. Dries van Langendonk trying to bring a bit of backup to his teammate. But if he has the chance to go around as well, he's going to take it. He's going to take that chance. He's keeping a bit of distance, a couple of meters, just to see what's going to happen, what might happen between the leaders in front of him. Not to take too many risks. But here we go. One last lap. Tiziano Monza, Lewis Werrell, Dries van Langendonk as the referee of that battle.
And Bondarev is eating the road up in front of the 3 drivers ahead of him. So Bondarev's got a great chance. Monza goes defensive. Werrell tries to get the cut back. He's having a go again. He's actually waving to Monza. Stop defending. Stop it. Come on. Let's race. And he's doing it again. Look, Werrell shaking his fist at Tiziano Monza. Here comes Van Langendonk. Dives in for second place. Werrell down to third. Just a whisker in front of Bondarev. Bondarev goes one way. Van Langendonk takes the lead on the last lap. Werrell trying again, as here comes Schaufler. He gets past Werrell and Bondarev into third position. Round the far side, Monza going the long way round Van Langendonk. It doesn't work. Schaufler through in a second. Can Schaufler go from fifth on the beginning of this lap all the way through to first? He tries on Van Langendonk. He's going to get alongside, and there's going to be Bondarev coming forward. Don't tell me he's going to do it again. Van Langendonk from Schaufler, Bondarev, Werrell, Ditiev, Monza, Lindblom. 0.4 of a second, covers 7 drivers at the flag. That is why FIA karting is the best motorsport on the planet. Do not argue with me, you are wrong. Absolutely fantastic. 7 drivers, half a second across the line. Where else in motor racing do you get that? Nowhere, sir. Nowhere at all. Wow. Dries Van Langendonk takes the win by 86 thousandths of a second. Schaufler, Bondarev, Werrell, Ditiev, Monza, Lindblom covered by less than half a second. You run out of words. You really, really do. This sport is just the best in the world. It really, really is. Absolutely astonishing. Dries Van Langendonk sweeps in and takes the win away. Schaufler in a terrific second. Bondarev solid in third. Werrell, Ditiev, Monza and Lindblom all in the hunt. Kian Ford in P8. From Thames Soleil, Stepan Antonov, Davide Bitaro, Sebastian Letimaki, Arjen. 7 karts covered by 0.4 of a second at the finish. That's how good this sport is. And that wasn't even the final, ladies and gentlemen. How are they going to match that? Absolutely terrific racing. So many great young boys and girls out there giving us such great entertainment, such great racing, all the way to the death. So many candidates for the win in that one. There were more candidates for the win than there were drivers in the top 10. Absolutely terrific. So many comparable moves. So many great racecraft maneuvers. Bondarev getting his moves on Monza. Schaufler shunted all the way down to 5th position at the penultimate lap, and yet somehow made his play for the victory. Just an astonishing race. There's Sundberg and Kimitani having their trip up. Very unfortunate indeed. And now Lewis Werrell getting himself back into the hunt. How he managed to fight himself into the lead was truly awe-inspiring. And all of that means that Bondarev is able to finish up this qualifying heat rotation in 4th. Monza is 5th, Van Langendonk is 6th, Werrell is 7th, Schaufler is 8th, and Antonov is 9th. That's all provisional. How amazing was this battle? Werrell getting through past Bondarev and Monza to get into the lead. That was quite the momentous opportunity, which he genuinely took with both hands. Just astonishing. I love this sport. There's nothing like karting. You can have your bikes, you can have your single-seaters, you can have your rallycross, you can have your touring cars, you can have your GTs, you can have your Le Mans. But I tell you what, nothing is as nail-biting and as on the edge of your seat as this. Werrell shaking his hand at Tiziano Monza on the final lap. Stop defending. Properly race me. Van Langendonk into 2nd on the final lap. Then made his bid just a corner later to get into the lead. Sheer determination. Gets the lead. Werrell and Bondarev squeezed by Schaufler, who comes through from 5th to 3rd. Then Monza makes his bid around the outside to go for Van Langendonk. It fails. Schaufler comes through. Werrell gets alongside Monza. Bondarev manages to squeak his way into 3rd in the final bend as Schaufler is going for Van Langendonk. Bondarev has the pace, but he doesn't have the momentum, and so they come across the line in one fell swoop. 7 karts in half a second. You don't get that anywhere else. Van Langendonk, Schaufler, Bondarev, Werrell, Ditiev, Monza and Lindblom. The only race in the world I can think of with a finish like that is the 1971 Italian Grand Prix.